They lied to you early. They told you being self-centered is bad. They told you thinking about yourself too much makes you selfish. They told you good people always consider others first. And that lie quietly ruined your potential, because while you were busy being nice, while you were available, responsive, emotionally present, and socially obedient, other people were building power. Let me say this clearly without softness. At the beginning of your growth stage, you are supposed to be self-centered, not later, not when you're successful, at the start. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they leak themselves everywhere. They are everywhere for everyone, but nowhere for their own development. They confuse morality with weakness. They confuse kindness with availability. They confuse humility with self-neglect. And the result is predictable. A life of exhaustion, a life of resentment, a life of unrealized potential. Every hour you spend emotionally babysitting people who aren't building anything is an hour stolen from the version of you that could have mattered. Every yes you give out of guilt is a no you silently give to your future power. Here is the brutal truth most people never accept. Nobody rewards you for being underdeveloped. They only respect you after you become dangerous, disciplined, and capable. In this message, I'm going to show you why self-centeredness is not a flaw, but a phase. Why every powerful individual disappears before they dominate, and how to enter the selfish growth stage without apology or guilt. This is not motivation. This is psychological restructuring. Power has never been built in crowds. Every strong mind, every feared strategist, every respected builder first turned inward before they turned outward, because power requires concentration, and concentration demands exclusion. You cannot become formidable while being constantly available, constantly explaining yourself, constantly adjusting to other people's expectations. The early growth stage is not a service stage, it is a construction stage. And construction is noisy, construction is obsessive, construction is selfish. You need long periods where your goals matter more than people's opinions, where your schedule matters more than social harmony, where your development matters more than being liked. This is not arrogance, this is engineering. Society praises selflessness early because it's convenient. A self-centered person in their growth phase is dangerous. A people pleaser is predictable. So the culture trains you to feel guilty for prioritizing yourself, to feel shame for saying no, to feel selfish for pulling away. Notice the pattern. They want you generous before you're powerful. They want you humble before you're competent. They want you giving before you have anything to give. That is not morality. That is control. Selfishness is taking from others to feed your ego. Self-centered growth is withdrawing to build capacity. A selfish person drains people. A self-centered builder disappears to sharpen themselves. One exploits, the other prepares. But weak minds blur the distinction because they fear losing access to you. When you start pulling away, your availability decreases, your attention sharpens, your standards rise. People who benefited from your weakness will call it change. People who feared your growth will call it pride. Ignore them. Here is the part that hurts egos. In your early stage, you have no leverage, no excess resources, no mastery, no authority. So what exactly are you sacrificing yourself for? You are not selfish for focusing on yourself while you are still building skills, still stabilizing income, still structuring your mind, still fighting internal chaos. You don't pour from an empty cup. You forge the cup first. Every serious builder goes through a phase of disappearance, not because they hate people, but because people slow momentum. Momentum needs silence, repetition, obsession, boredom, things society is deeply uncomfortable with. Isolation is not loneliness. Isolation is compression. Pressure creates density. Density creates power. Expect backlash. When you enter a self-centered growth phase, people will say, "You've changed." They'll say you're too serious. They'll say you think you're better than everyone. No, you just stopped leaking energy. Your absence reminds them of their stagnation. That discomfort turns into criticism. Let them talk. Discipline offends the lazy. Focus exposes distraction. Boundaries threaten entitlement. So when you stop answering every call, attending every event, explaining every decision, you will be misunderstood. That is the price of elevation. Here is the correct order of life. First, self-centered growth, then skill acquisition, then resource accumulation, then inner authority, and only then service. Most people try to start at the end. That's why they remain powerless helpers instead of respected leaders. Generosity without power is submission. Generosity with power is influence. The world doesn't remember kind people. It remembers capable people who chose to be kind. Build first, give later. Being self-centered in growth means ruthless prioritization, reduced social exposure, deep work over constant communication, learning over entertaining, execution over explanation. You stop announcing, you start building. Most people never enter this phase because it's uncomfortable. You lose validation, you lose familiarity, you lose easy dopamine. In return, you get silence, doubt, resistance. Weak minds retreat here, strong minds lock in. Every version of you that failed was too available. Every version of you that stayed small was too concerned with being liked. Your future self doesn't need you nice. They need you disciplined. They need you selfish now so they can be generous later. Let this settle deep. You are not selfish for choosing yourself in your growth stage. You are irresponsible if you don't. Power is built privately. Strength is forged in isolation. Impact comes after mastery. Disappear, build, return, changed.